Welcome to episode 7, How to Become an Industry Expert and Thought Leader.
Welcome to the PR Playbook Podcast with Ranjini Joshua, the only podcast that teaches you how to strategically navigate the world of public relations and social media and grow a powerful brand.
Hello and welcome to episode 7. Today, I wanted to announce that we are moving to a 2-pod-a-week format. So every week, we'll have one expert guest interviewee on Tuesdays, and on Thursdays, we'll have our best practices and tips in the shorter format of the pod. So please look out for more segments coming out soon. So we'll move into today's topic, which I'm really excited to talk about, how to become an industry expert and thought leader. The media today is different than the media 10 years ago. And to be honest, even very different from the media 5 years ago. My job as a public relations professional has become incrementally more difficult with the rise of social media and digital content. The fact that the media is so accessible to so many has really shifted the role of the PR person from one who used to have all the connections and the secrets to getting into the media to now the person who is more of a strategic guide and an experienced professional in getting into the media. A little bit different. But we may not necessarily be required to score an interview. That's a truth all of us PR folks have to face. And it's actually one of the reasons I started this podcast. However, because of the noisy media environment, whether it be news, trends, social, entertainment, or otherwise, there are still serious brands out there who have something important to say and want to be taken seriously. And with that vein, PR people with our years of experience in this field are invaluable to teaching newcomers on how to be credible and how to stand apart from the noise. In today's podcast, I wanted to focus on industry and thought leadership because it's become a greater demand than ever before. In my earlier interview this week with Dan Garraway of Wirewax, I also talked about the importance of digital media and the role it will play in diversifying content for brands now and forevermore. Thought leadership programs are becoming similar, more common in PR programs because the truth is the media doesn't really know who's an expert anymore. There's so many people, so many brands, so many startups everywhere emerging, which I think has something to do with the growth of entrepreneurship, especially in the United States. Anyone with 2 years of experience or so can now call themselves an expert. So how do you set yourself apart? I remember back in 2014 and 15 when we were doing a lot of crowdfunding. I had been in the crowdfunding space for maybe just around 3 years. We started doing crowdfunding in 2011. And people were in 2014 or 15 calling me an expert. And I was just thinking to myself, how did I become an expert in such a short amount of time? Don't you have to have at least a decade of experience to be an expert? And, back in the day, an expert was someone who'd been doing something for a very, very long time. Expertise now is more about what you know and how effective it is versus how long you've had that information in your head. Of course, experience and expertise still go hand in hand as far as years of experience, but there are some more versions of expertise than there have been ever been before. So I think it's kind of smart for us to start off with a definition of thought leadership. First, what is thought leadership? Thought leadership is a way of positioning what you know so that you can create credibility around yourself and or your company and brand. I'll use myself as a quick example. I've been in public relations for 17 years. So I like to think by now I'm an expert in media relations and PR strategy, which is why I'm sharing this with you. I can speak knowledgeably about the PR industry and share insights with you on how to make it work for you. That, and that I'm actually willing to share the knowledge and information, is the second part to turning your expertise into thought leadership. You can't be an expert thought leader without producing the content that will actually help your industry and your audience grow or become better. If you think of it at the basic level, you are leading thoughts. So you really have to push the envelope on what you're thinking and think past what you're doing today into the future. The difference between an expert and a thought leader is that an expert is someone that has been walking the walk for a long time. They know the ins and outs of what they do on a day-to-day basis or certain areas of business, and they can execute flawlessly. A thought leader is someone who's sharing new ideas and pushing the industry and colleagues to think outside of the box by analyzing not only what's going on and capturing best practices, but also sharing forward-thinking knowledge through published content. So when you're thinking of yourself or thinking of creating yourself as a thought leader, think of this particular definition. What are the ways you can leverage thought leadership for your PR campaign? Content is king. This is a time-tested saying. In a time where everyone is digital, you have to diversify. Written content is a trusted medium that is tried and true. So if you're just starting out, you can start by leading thoughts through your blog or posting industry trends using LinkedIn and how your brand is pushing the needle or thinking differently or leading innovation. Once you've gotten your feet wet on your own blog or LinkedIn or your personal kind of sites, you can spread your wings to use a video or like this, create a podcast and get out into the industry, get out to your audience. The second step would be content placement. There are two main ways to do content placement: earned and paid. Earned content is when you contribute expert content to relevant publications, but aren't paying for the placement. So you're writing up really interesting content and you're placing it into publications that are already established and trusted. So a New York Times takes editorial content, editorial opinion pieces. Forbes takes content. Fast Company takes content. A lot of the publications take content, and you can actually find that. We have a sheet on the show notes that shows all the different places where you could potentially contribute content. We've added a few vertical areas there too. So if you're in a vertical industry like technology or retail or marketing, there are some places in there that you can contribute content as well. Paid is typically more of an advertorial situation. And that may be a result of several things. You might have to go with a paid content program if, one, you're working with bloggers or independent media. They don't get paid like traditional media does, and so sometimes they do ask for placement fees. Two, the publication doesn't quite deem you an expert. Maybe they see what you've written, or you don't really have enough experience as far as in the writing category, and they might want you to pay some kind of fee to put your content into the publication. And lastly, the content you produce is too self-serving or reads like an advertisement. Typically, when you're publishing thought leadership content, you're not advertising your business. You're really showcasing your expertise. How will thought leadership support your other areas of business? Thought leadership is a different kind of PR altogether. And obviously, it is not the same as a journalist writing about your company and featuring your company or writing a featured article on you. But when your customer, the media, and general populace watch your content or read your content, whether you are published on your own site or somewhere else has contributed, you'll begin creating credibility in the value of your knowledge. This can go a long way, positioning you and your brand with existing customers, potential customers, investors, and even with the media. The more people see you out there talking about what you know and the way you think, they'll have a little bit more credibility in what you could potentially contribute to them. Media always needs expert content. So if you've looked on broadcasts or even articles, they refer to experts all the time. This helps position you as an expert that can be referenced for articles in the future. So leveraging thought leadership to publish your expertise helps bring more awareness to your position, your approach, and your knowledge, and even your company. I could probably go on and on about this, but I think this is a good place to stop and have you digest and figure out what the next step is to launching your thought leadership program. But if you have questions, you can always email us at podcast@thesilvertelegram.com. And feel free to put thought leadership in the subject line so I know what you're looking for and what question you might already have. And we can weigh in to give you a little bit more leverage on how you should build out your thought leadership program, what mediums are the best for you, where you can get started, things like that. That's all for now. Stay healthy, positive, and mindful, and we'll see you next week.